Alright, this is it. The time has come. We are putting the LSA Supercharger on the Tahoe. It's going to be a lot of work. I was looking over all the parts that I have to put on it to make this work this morning, and it's going to be mechanical, electrical, fluids. You know, I've got to make a fuel system. Bolting the blower on is going to be the easy part. I have to change the water pump, pin the crank, put different injector pigtails on. I have to relocate the map sensor. I have to relocate the inlet air temp sensor. And then I have to do all the lines for the heat exchanger system. So there's a lot to do. And a couple of people have asked of a list for parts for what you're going to need to do this. So that's what this video is going to be about. Well, first thing is first, we have the LSA Supercharger. This has a ZL1 lid on it with some meth injection contraption. I've never seen one like this before. Ryan, the owner up here at RPM Motorsports, picked this up. And I'm going to put it on the Tahoe and see how it all works. Pretty excited. It's probably more meth than I will ever use, but we're going to try it out. So underneath that is a Core LSA Supercharger, and that guy right there is just a regular LSA front snout, no porting, no nothing crazy. And the reason I'm not going to port it is I'm putting a stock Tahoe throttle body on it, which is kind of small. Got a couple balancers. Mine isn't in the best shape, so I'm going to look at one of those and maybe put it on there before I pin it. A couple water pumps. One of them's bad, I don't remember which one. Up here, we've got our LSA fuel rail, which I'm going to plumb in and make work with the stock Tahoe fuel system. Pulleys. We've got idler pulleys, tensioners, the bracket from LS Simple. This one's black powder coated with all the pulleys that I need to make it work. Our ICT billet from square port to cathedral port adapters, throttle body adapter, our O-rings and bolts. And this is an 07 up truck water pump. And the reason we're using this is because of the upper radiator hose outlet. If you look on the Tahoe, which you can't really see right now, it points forward and it actually hits the bypass valve on the supercharger, so we need to move that too. And what the bracket from LS Simple does is it relocates the alternator over here, and it also moves the power steering pump into a different location with a different pulley. The other thing we have is a 2-bar map sensor off of a ZL1. We also have stock ZL1 injectors, which I believe are 58 pound, but Chris will probably tell me I'm wrong on that. I've got connectors, little weather pack guys, that I'm going to put on the truck so that they will plug right in to the injectors. I've also got an Aeromotive big ass regulator, because when I use this rail, I'm going to have a regulated return because it only has an inlet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the stock inlet, and then I'm going to use the Schrader valve, which is -4, for a return. I just pull the Schrader out of the center, and then that'll be my return. I got a couple pigtails here, and Chris, our tuner, makes these. See if I can get in on this. Crawford Racing. He made these for me. He also does some cool stuff with port injection on the new LT stuff, which you'll see in later videos. We're going to be doing one of his kits on our shop car, the ZL1. So this is basically the layout of parts, aside from a box full of fittings. And what I'm going to try to get done today is to get the old intake off and get the supercharger on with the new bracket, new water pump and all that. And then I'll leave all the wiring and stuff like that till tomorrow, I think. That's the plan anyway. Let's get started. I would also like to let you guys know that this video is brought to you by Rockstar Pure Zero. Without that, I would not be working right now because I am tired. I didn't sleep good last night, but it keeps me going. Also, if you guys have any questions about this process or what I've done in the past, check out the old videos. I've got a video where I'm doing the fuel system, video where I'm doing the headers. Click on the link to my channel and look at all the other videos that I've done in the past. And if you didn't notice, the new logo, got the hoodie on today. I'm gonna take it off here in a second because it's actually warm outside and it's pretty warm in here. Check the link in the description below and you can get a t-shirt for yourself. All right, first things first, I'm gonna get cold air off, disconnect the battery, get the alternator out of the way, get the intake manifold off, and pull the water pump off. And then I'm gonna start messing with the power steering pump. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the lower radiator hose off and let it drain into a drain bucket underneath, get the water pump out of the way. Then I'm going to take the power steering pump off. I've got all the coolant lines off the water pump, so now I'm going to pull the water pump out. I'll leave the thermostat housing attached to the lower hose because it has to go on the new water pump anyway. And then power steering pulley, then power steering pump, then power steering bracket. Alright, you can see how far we are now. We got the water pump off, some other front drive accessories. What I have to do is I have to pull the pulley off of the power steering pump so that I can unbolt the power steering pump from this bracket here. And the reason we do it this way is so we don't have to disconnect any lines. It'll keep us from having to bleed the system, and it helps you not make a mess as well. So I'll pull this off, get the power steering pump unbolted, get rid of this bracket, and then I will start pulling the intake manifold off. Alright, now that we have the power steering pump pulley off, there's 3 bolts that hold the pump to the bracket, and the bracket has 3, maybe 4 bolts on it. So here's the old alternator and power steering bracket. It was 4 bolts, 3 in the head and 1 in the block that held it in place. And the power steering pump just lays there now until we get the new bracket in place. If we look at the new bracket, you can see that this is where the power steering pump is going to mount now with these 3 bolts. And the alternator is going to mount up here with these 2 bolts. And then this will go to the block. These 3 back here will go to the cylinder head, and then there's 2 over here that'll go to the cylinder head on the other side. So this whole bracket ties together from one cylinder head to the other down to the block to keep everything sturdy. So what I think I'll do now is I'll finish pulling the intake manifold off, and then I'll clean up my mess so that I'm not working in coolant for the rest of the day. And I changed my mind. I think I'm going to do the wiring first, because I'll be able to sit up in the engine bay and get everything done without a blower in the way, without a bunch of front brackets in the way. So I'm going to get this intake manifold off, and then we'll start on wiring. After the intake manifold is off, that'll be all we have to disassemble. You can see on this throttle body, coolant used to run through it, and that was to help heat up the inlet air temp. We're going to get rid of that. Alright, that is it for the disassembly. I just need to clean up the head mating surfaces. I'll clean up the valley a little bit, get all the coolant off the front of the engine. I'm going to replace the AC belt because it's got a couple cracks in it and I don't want that to not work. So there is the old intake manifold and the new blower. Really exciting. I'm super excited. I just want to put it on, but I'm going to do the wiring first. So let me get this cleaned up and then I'll talk to you guys about wiring. All right, we have the top of the engine cleaned up pretty good. I'm gonna give it one more go over before we put the blower on. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to change the injector plugs. So this is a stock truck style injector. I can't remember the technical name for it. But what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna cut the wires and remove the connector from the harness. And then what I've got over here is connectors that will plug right into the ZL1 injectors with the pins and the weather pack grommets. So I'm going to look up a wiring diagram real quick. I'm pretty sure polarity doesn't matter, but I am going to double check just to be sure. And I'll lay some towels over the intake ports and I'm going to sit in here and start wiring those connectors in. I'm not going to show that to you guys because it's pretty self-explanatory and it's going to take a little bit of time. It would be a really long time lapse. So I'll get back with you once I've got those connectors done. Alright, so I've got all the injector wires laid out here. So I just cut the old connector off, put our grommets on the wire, strip the wire back, and now I have to put all these on there, all 16 of them, and make sure that they're tight so that they don't slip off and I get a misfire, because that would not be fun. And after that, we slide the new connectors on the end, and that'll be it for wiring the injectors. Then I have to come back here and cut and extend the map sensor wiring for the 2-bar. Then I have to come over here and pull out the inlet air temp wires from the original mass air plug and put the extension and the new plug on those as well, because the new inlet air temp actually sits in the blower lid. Say what up, John Doc.
Hello, everyone.
So on the new lid, this is originally the baro map sensor, so that just measures atmospheric pressure. Back here is the 2-bar map, and then under here is the inlet air temp sensor. See what happens when you bring help to the shop? Anyway, here's our mass airflow plug. This also has the IAT sensor wires in it. It's the 2 on this end, black and then tan. And then back here, I've already cut the wires off the original map sensor plug. And what I need to do is then wire this stuff in. So we've got our black and tan for our inlet air temp. Then we've got our black, green, and orange for our map sensor. And I'm going to leave these long like this. I can always tie them back, but I want to make sure that I don't make them too short that they won't reach where I need them to. So I'm going to solder and heat shrink all these connections, and then maybe I can get this guy to help me set the blower on.
I can see that happening.
Maybe. Sure. All right, we have all of our new injector connectors in here and all taped up. Taped up this loom a little bit. More injector connectors. We have our Crawford Racing map sensor extension in, and over here our Crawford Racing IAT extension wired in. So what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the balancer off and compare it to the other two that I have over here and see if one's in better shape than another. Then I'm going to pin the crank before we do anything else, since everything's out of the way right now. And then I might start putting the bracket on, or I might put the blower on. I haven't decided yet. But we're going to start throwing some parts at this thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on the bottom side and work our way up. So I'm going to get the water pump on, and then I'm going to work on the power steering and alternator bracket, and we'll put the blower on last. And once the blower is on, then I can start doing all the fuel lines and stuff like that. So like I said before, we had to switch to an 07 up water pump, and the reason for that is where the water net comes out. You can see it comes straight up on this, and on the old one it comes out at an angle. Straight out. And the reason for that is the bypass valve on the Supercharger, which is not on there right now. I have to put it on there still. So I'm going to get the water pump on, and then I'm going to lay this bracket out, which is going to be difficult because of all the damn spacers on it. But I'm going to lay it out kind of nice, and then we'll start bolting it on, bolt the power steering pump to it, and put the alternator on it as well. Well, now that I just ate way too much food at Smithfield's, we are back here going to put the blower bracket on next. And I think the easiest way to do that is I'm going to take all the spacers off the back side of it and lay them out in order, and then I'll put them back in one at a time when I get it on the truck. Shh, 1 second. So Anyway, I'm just going to set up a time lapse for this, and you can see me struggle to get this blower bracket on there. So John helped me put this bracket up there because there's a lot going on as far as spacers and bolts and things. So it is, a few of the bolts are started right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and get every bolt started. And I'm not going to tighten anything down until I have everything else on here to make sure that, you know, I don't forget a spacer or a spacer gets wedged where it's not supposed to. Alright, I know you guys can hear John in the background because he's doing a video too.
I thought you were doing time lapse.
Well, now I'm talking.
Okay, I'll shut up.
You don't have to.
No.
It's fine. So the bracket is up here, and all the bolts with spacers that go to the cylinder head, the water pump, and the block are started. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go down and put the power steering pump bolts in and press the pulley on the power steering pump, and then I'll put the alternator on, and then I think we're ready to set the blower on, which is what I want. I'm excited. Time lapse. Oh, I feel like Murphy has steered me wrong. If only there was a way. This is going to be the world's longest time lapse. So I had this started and it was all going so well. Alright, we've got the power steering pump bolted up, and it was a little confusing because it came with spacers for all three bolts, but there's spacers welded on the backside of the bracket on these two and nothing on this one. So I think I got it right. I put one of the loose spacers behind here and nothing behind these two, and then I tightened everything up and it looks true, but I'm going to get the pulley on here and kind of line everything up by eye and see what it looks like. Aside from that, the bracket lines up good. I'm putting the alternator on right now, which is one bolt that pinches it here and it gets a nut on the backside, and then there's another through bolt that goes down here. And you can see the alternator is moved way over to the side on this bracket. Kind of nice. Okay, so this kit also comes with a new powerful steering pulley that we need to press on, and it has a note that I already took off that says press until flush. So I'm going to press it until it's flush. Does that sound like a good idea?
Hell yeah.
Press it till it's flush. Alright, so we got all the pulleys on the front drive buttoned up, the tensioners on, all the idlers are on, power steering, alternator, and the new water pump are on. So I need to extend these grounds for the fan because they used to go on the side of the old alternator bracket, and I'll just put them down to the block now. And then John and I will grab the blower and set it in place, and I might call it a day after that because that power steering pulley sucked. Alright, so that's going to conclude this video, and the reason that I'm splitting it up is because I had some camera issues, unfortunately. So this is episode 1, there's going to be episode 2 as well, where I actually install the blower. And I'm putting this video out and the blower install isn't even done yet. I ran into some issues with the pulley system that I'm trying to work out right now, and it's not working good. I'm having problems keeping the belt on the pulleys. So I have some new information from the guy that builds this kit, and I'm going to go in and try it tomorrow, and hopefully all that's straightened out. And then I still have to do the intercooler setup and stuff like that. So this concludes the first episode of this part of the build series. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will have the next video out within a day or two, so it's not going to be a week-long spread between the two. So as always, comment, like, subscribe. Be sure to check out my Instagram. There is always a link in the description below, and I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.